Ciao, hi, hey, hola, everyone. I have to try and remember which order to put that in. Me and my silly pants. But I'm just going to check I'm live on Facebook as well. Hope Facebook might let me down. And it didn't, thankfully, for once. Anyway, ciao, hi, hey, hola, again, amigos. Hope everyone's well wherever you are. Sometimes it makes the order up and on. It's your boy M.K.S. back to another video, and welcome to part 2 of reasons to love and support African Americans. And also, I hope to talk about how to potentially support them. And on that note, I'd love to have your support and advice on what are the best ways allies like myself could support the African American community, and what could they do to support themselves and each other. I went to Subway. As a side note, I went to Subway and I got this, and also I went to the shop afterwards. And got this, and I put it in the freezer. So I hope it's not going to go everywhere. This is an experiment. But I know I was going to say nice life story and all that, but I'm hoping this is not going to spill everywhere. Ideally, because I did leave it in the freezer for about 3 hours or so, 3.5 hours even, and it is quite cold here as well. I think in the summertime you can probably get away with that, but anyway. These are pointers number 11 to 20 as per usual. So here goes. So number 11 is I thought I did think when I came up with the idea for these videos about I suppose I could have called it like why I as a minority wish to support, or why I as a POC, person of colour, wish to support African Americans from one minority group to another, especially in February. In hindsight, because I hope to talk about that one day, I suppose in hindsight I could have done that, and why I think POC, people of colour, should support African Americans, POC for African Americans. But one of the things I was thinking of is to challenge this quo and to change the world, hopefully for the better. And I'll talk about how African Americans were oppressed. I think most people know their history and that they were oppressed at some point, and even today probably face discrimination from different sources, including what's the word? I think what I'm looking for, but in terms of jobs and in terms of insults and I know it's only words, but and even in terms of physical threats and all sorts of things like that, possibly obviously police brutality and things like that, and all sorts of things like that. So all sorts of things like that. So I think it's good to change the world for the better. But as I said before, like people can agree to disagree, or if people disagree with anything I say, please let me know in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube. Please feel free to disagree as ever. But yeah, I was trying to take on the challenge, which I suppose I am trying to do still, of coming up with 40 ideas, but I was struggling to think of them. But I normally think of point number 11 as like change, and I thought again, challenge the status quo and change the world hopefully for the better, and help to empower African Americans, who can then go and empower each other and possibly much of the rest of the world and that kind of thing. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Number 12, I guess supporting African Americans could include like sponsorship, investment into their communities, mentorship, teaching and training African Americans, and listening to them and hearing about their struggles, and yeah, giving them a voice, I guess, and studying their history, given my use of patterns, like it being a Sunday, starts with similar letters and that kind of thing. So I have those silly little patterns, but I'm sure there was something I was thinking about for point number 12 earlier, and I've completely forgotten it. But I'm going to move on anyway, all the same, to point number 13. Unfortunately, some of the sad and bloody history they've had, like things like Wall Street, which I talked about on Wednesday. I only got around to part 3 of that, but I'm hoping I get around to part 4 of this as well. But I just about get enough time to do it. But they achieved a lot and had it all taken away from them. So if you're interested, please read about Black Wall Street and find any books, or Google and or YouTube, TikTok and other sources of information could be helpful. But So yeah, if when I think a lot of racists sort of say that black people haven't achieved things or they've never built anything or whatever, but when they did build their own community and did well financially, I think due to jealousy and things like that, they had it all taken away from them. I think there was like a trumped up charge, if you like. There's a false accusation against an African American, but I won't go into too much detail on that. But yeah, some of the struggles they've been through as well, which is sad to hear about. But I suppose you're going to do your best to make those changes. And I normally think of a selfish one as well for point number 13, as well as like sad and negative. I also think of selfish stuff like Italian soccer teams having their own academies for African Americans, and thinking about a selfish reason for African American, for Italian soccer teams to improve relations, for Italians to improve relations with African Americans through soccer. Um, I was saying like I talked about like how hopefully Italian soccer teams can benefit through having more producing great players from African American communities who can then go and play in Italy and hopefully benefit Italian soccer teams. Also, they could invest into and sponsor Italian soccer teams as they grow their economy amongst their community and that kind of thing, if you like. And also, they could support Italian soccer teams both in terms of being fans of having their own sports clubs with teams like Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, and others. And also, they could support them again, like as financial backers, like invest into, have shares in, equity and whatnot, Italian soccer teams. So yeah, selfish point of view. I think of that. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a mutual benefit. Number 14, we could support them to, and they could support each other to solve problems again, whether that's problems they face themselves and their community faces and whatnot, helping each other, helping themselves and each other, but also solving problems more generally. Number 15, I think like supporting them with their ambitions, which I think is a good thing to help those who have been oppressed, as I say. And I was thinking recently about, I suppose I came up with this idea before, but I sort of remembered it. But I was thinking Damon John could support his fellow African Americans with dyslexia, black people with dyslexia, especially in America itself, and maybe around the world even, and to learn about dyslexia. And he could mentor, teach, and train African Americans and help them to achieve success, especially young African Americans, helping more young black entrepreneurs, blackpreneurs, youngpreneurs, and that kind of thing from the black community, which I hope to talk about this coming Tuesday, all being well. Touch wood, God willing, and Godspeed, and that kind of thing. Number 16, once again, I'd love to know any other potential reasons, any reasons you might think of that I might have not thought of. I did, I mentioned in part one, I did Google it to see like what are some potential reasons, and they mentioned about the historical oppression of African Americans and to close the wealth gap and things like that. But if you have any other ideas of your own, I'd love to read those. Number 17, it'd be interesting. I think so anyway. I don't know if you'd agree with me on this, but I think it'd be interesting to see what they could achieve. Could you just imagine what they could achieve with the right support and that kind of thing? Companies like Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola and others might want to, and Subway and others, which I mentioned earlier, might want to invest into the African American community for PR purposes. Could be good for their PR to support African American entrepreneurs, SMEs and things like that, startups, SMEs and whatnot, which I talked about yesterday. And I think African Americans could support each other and themselves and each other, and look at the fact I think a lot of areas where they have like a duopoly, two big companies, or maybe sometimes a few more. Obviously, monopolies are illegal, I guess, but generally you have companies like Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola, Subway, and here in Britain we have like Greggs. And there's different companies also that compete with each other, and maybe the African American community as well as others could look at ways to utilize that to say which one of you are going to invest the most in our community, and like that'd be good for PR purposes. So if Coca-Cola want to be more popular amongst African Americans, they could give a bit of money. I suppose they call it the carrot and stick approach. So they might think it's worth investing a couple of million, which for them would be next to nothing, I suppose, on startups and SMEs in the African American community more African Americans to start their own startups and grow into SMEs and whatnot, financial empowerment and that kind of thing, basically. And they might think it's worth it because if so many African Americans think, oh yeah, they've invested in our community, let's go buy more Cokes, I guess they can get the money back easily. So, and again, Pepsi might think, oh, they've done that initiative, we might want to do something similar. So they can have competition between the two, I guess. As I say, it'd be interesting to see what African Americans could achieve. And I hope more African Americans learn about, like, as I say, the creative strengths, creative brilliance in many cases of dyslexia and related conditions, neurodivergent conditions, amongst their own community. So I'd love to empower African Americans more generally, but especially those with neurodivergent conditions and those from most disadvantaged backgrounds. Number 18, I think it's, I don't normally like to say the right thing to do, but I think it is an ethical thing to do. I was going to say the right thing to do, I don't know if I can say that, but again, please feel free to disagree, but I think it is an ethical thing to support those who have been oppressed, as I say. Number 19, I think because they've had an underrepresentation of African Americans in areas like STEM, I think it'd be cool to help them as programmers, software developers, coders, app designers, people who work in AI, robotics, and all sorts of things like that. And I guess they have an incentive for supporting their own community. I was thinking like there could be different incentives for different groups, like other minorities might want to support them so that they support us in the future if we need it and that kind of thing. So we can support each other and uplift each other. Companies might want to support them for PR purposes, and they might want to support their own community to empower themselves and each other. And number 20, I'd love to support and empower and uplift African Americans of all ages. I suppose I do like to help people, including the elderly, but normally I prefer to help younger people, like youngpreneurs, to empower young people. But I suppose also like disabled and other disadvantaged people as well. Hope to talk in the future if I can, maybe in March or May, about why I first support younger people. But that's a different matter anyway for the future. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and I'm out. Peace and love.